Hi. Hi. I'm Cameron. And it's gotten to a point to where I think I've started every video with something like that, but that's okay. And that's fine. Um I was going to talk about the kindness of strangers. That was going to be the title of this video. I mentioned that in the last video that I wanted to talk about that at some point. And I guess I'll still talk about that later in this video. But I wanted to talk about how I'm feeling specifically. I do still have a lot of ideas of things I want to cover at some point, but if I talk about how I'm feeling in the moment specifically, I think that's better and feels a lot less artificial than randomly going through and just telling stories or something like that. And that's okay. It's okay to feel that way and just talk about what I'm thinking about in the moment. If anything, I think the genuineness that comes from that is a lot more enjoyable than, just reading off a list or something like that. I guess firstly I want to say I still always appreciate the support. Of course, I'm probably going to say that every time. That's fine. And there were a couple of things that I noticed that people were saying I wanted to mention as well. Firstly, there's been someone who's subscribed. I think the name is xfan17. I apologize if I got that wrong. That's off the top of my head. Who keeps mentioning me in the videos that they're making, being like, hey, go subscribe to Cameron. That's so cool. That's such a wonderful thing. I really appreciate that. And if that name is right, go check out their videos too, of course. If it's wrong, I'll post the correction in the comments after the fact. And there was another idea that somebody had where they said that I should do a podcast and make videos too. Now, I thought about that podcasting is something I've always kind of wanted. I mean, when I was a kid, I always thought it would be cool to have my own radio show or something like that. So, if there could be like a way to convert these videos into something that could go on Spotify or something like that, I would 100% be willing to do that. I mean, it would be convenient to have people have more means to listen. I don't exactly do much editing with these videos right now, so if that's something that anyone would be interested in, let me know in the comments. Probably I don't have like an email address or anything I post publicly right now. I could get going on that too, probably. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, what ideas you have and things like that. That would definitely be something I'd be open to. Since I do like this communication that we have going on right now. I really enjoy that. So we're about 3.5 minutes in. So I'll just cut to what I'm thinking about right now. And that would be the name of this video. Letting it go is not as hard as you think it is. Now, as always, I say that to myself just as much as I do to anybody else that could be listening or watching right now, however many years in the nebulous future, whether you're listening seconds after I upload this or you're listening 5 years from now. I have been trying very hard to be better. And there was something that happened to me during the weekend that I wanted to share that made me want to make this video over any of the other ideas that I had. I was sitting at my computer since it's the weekend, so I was like, okay, I'll just kind of laze around a little bit. I need to stagger these things so I don't get burnt out or anything like that. So I was sitting at my big beautiful computer over there, and I was playing new World of Warcraft expansion because I like World of Warcraft a lot, and a friend of mine works at Blizzard. This isn't a joke, and they gave me a free copy of it, so I wanted to check it out. Since I've always loved World of Warcraft, I've always liked it a lot ever since I was like a little kid. And it's typically not that great of a game most times. Um, but it's been really good. I've been really enjoying it and really happy about that. This isn't like a review or anything, so I'm not going to get into it too much right now. But I would say that this is the most fun I've had with it in a very, very long period of time. I'm talking like maybe 5 or 10 years. It's really fun again. Um, so I'm going off. I'm top of the charts. I'm like the MJ of World of Warcraft. That's what I'm talking about. And it was getting to be kind of late. It was about 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and I was just playing, having fun, and a thought crossed my mind. I'm bored. I should go read instead. I want to go read instead. And that might sound like a crazy, crazy thing, or, a common sense thing, like, oh, wow, you wanted to go read a book or something? That's stupid. Like, yeah, wow, pat yourself on the back for that one, Chief. But I've always liked reading. I'm not illiterate or anything. And I've always liked doing it for fun, too. It wasn't even just like the thing that I was good at in school or anything like that. But I haven't really done that in a long period of time. I mean, that's because I had a horrible, horrible, horrible demon of an English teacher that ruined my enjoyment of literature for a very long period of time. And it wasn't until I got to college where I had really wonderful English professors who kind of brought that love back in for me. I mentioned I've been reading a bit in the last couple of videos. Or audio files? I don't know. This is a podcast. Saying video sounds weird now. I guess I can just say last couple of episodes. I don't know. Again, let's talk. You and me. You and me, we're talking. But I don't think in the 24 years that I've been alive I've ever had a moment where I was so bored of a video game or doing something like visual in general where I was like, I'm gonna go read a book instead. Now, last week I made a commitment to, okay, going online, going on Discord and stuff like that, just scrolling through my friends list or something like that is really negative for me. I can tell that. I just get stuck in this loop where I just keep sitting around waiting for something to happen instead of being proactive about it. So I made a commitment. I'm going to keep my computer off. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read through some of the stuff I've been wanting to read through. Now, I haven't read like a book as per se. I read Monster and I read Berserk as well. And those are both manga, so I guess that technically doesn't count as a book. But Monster was okay. It was alright. I enjoyed it. And Berserk, I don't even need to talk about Berserk. I mean, I would say that it may not have changed my life or something like that, but being subjected to someone else's, like, life's work, seeing a master at something produce and put so much of themselves into something, not only does that make me feel like I have to do better as a person, but it's very harrowing getting near the end of all the chapters that Miura, the artist and author, wrote before he passed away. And he just passed away a few years ago. Since it's like the tone shifts almost. It's kind of a lot more peaceful, I would say. Even just in the way that he draws, it felt different than the rest of it. And you see something like that, and it reminds you of your own mortality. And how does this tie into how I was feeling? Like, I want to read more. Because compared to playing World of Warcraft again, something that has, like, phenomenal art direction and has really fun gameplay, and I know a lot of people that I can play it with, so there's, like, a social aspect to that, too. It's like through engaging with a masterpiece like Berserk again, it's like while simultaneously in the process of trying to better myself, it felt a lot more like a conversation. There's no music or anything like that. There's no voice acting. It's just the pictures on the page. It's just the dialogue that was, translated 5 times by somebody and probably completely lost the original meaning at this point. But it felt like I was learning more about another person in that way. And I mean, to be entirely honest, as much as I enjoy reading and I take literature very seriously, I realize now I never really had that opportunity to feel that way about it because I was just too immature to realize that's what I was getting out of the text. And what I mean by that is that when I was a kid, I just read. I was just like, this is so cool. I remember I read The Hobbit when I was like in kindergarten. And I would basically just read anything I could get my hands on. But the problem is that when you start with Tolkien, when you're in kindergarten, I mean, it is a children's book, so it's really not that crazy. I'm not like building myself up or anything. But when you start with Tolkien in elementary school, you can't really find material that's suited towards your reading level until you get to be much older, since the content included just isn't age appropriate. I remember I checked out The Godfather from the school library, and one of the teachers saw that I had it, and she told me that I wasn't allowed to read something that wasn't educationally appropriate. And I was like, I checked it out from the library, and she's like, I don't care, go put it back. And that was stupid. I don't like saying the word stupid too much, or dumb, or ignorant, or stupid, and dumb, and idiot, and mentally damaged, or something. Now we're just getting mean. But that's how I felt. It's like, well, why is it in the school library then? You're just gonna like have these books for kids to just grab off of the shelf if you don't want them to read it? That's stupid. That's dumb. It's ignorant. But I never felt like I was ever encouraged to engage thoroughly with the text that I would have gotten something out of. And since I never had a proper through line for that, I was never really able to actually improve my literacy in a way that I wanted to. I don't know if literacy is the right word for that. Fluency might be more appropriate. I'm not sure. But that's why I enjoyed literature classes so much in college, because I felt like the text that we were being presented was actually speaking to me. And I don't know if there's any avid readers out there or anything, but I hope I'm not the only person who feels the way that I do when I say there's something really special about reading a book that was written 500 years ago and finding a line that makes you get choked up. Finding something written in a completely different world than our own, and yet it being so poignant and being so familiar and feeling so intimate in that way. That's special. That's something truly, genuinely special. And for me, when I was playing World of Warcraft, when I was running around, when I was using Arcane Barrage over and over and over again, like it drops meteors now too when you use it. It's so cool. I'm so excited. It's so much fun. But I was just having fun with that. And at some point during that, I realized it was just fun. It was nothing more than that. And fun's cool and all, but through reading, it was like I was able to understand more about other people and feel less alone. And to make other people feel that way, to feel understood, to feel less lonely in the same way that I did reading Berserk, that's really what I want. That's what I want my words to be capable of. I don't want to use language that has negative connotation to it. I don't want to convey myself as somebody who doesn't take things seriously, who jokes around all of the time. who just only thinks about having fun. Now, video games, they're not just fun. I mean, I love Metal Gear Solid, I love Nier and Drakengard. I've never played Drakengard, I just said that to sound smart. I mean, I love video games. I really genuinely do. It's just that the games that get made now are for fun. Because that's what sells, and that's okay. Because the things that still matter to me are still present. Nobody's ever going to be able to take away the experiences that I had through playing Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 for the first time. No one's ever going to make me unshed the tears that I did when I finished Automata. Nier Automata, for those of you who are watching this who don't play games for some reason. I don't know how much the overlap there is, honestly. I mean, I'm wearing an Xbox shirt right now, if that gives you any frame of reference. But that's just it. I've played games my entire life. I love video games. I feel like I know pretty much everything that I need to about video games, and I've learned everything that I can through engaging with them, strictly just as playing. I don't know, maybe if I made a game, I'd learn a lot more. There's a possibility for that. But what I'm getting at right now, specifically, is that I haven't done that with books yet. I haven't done that with manga yet. I tried watching TV, I just didn't get anything out of it. If anybody has any good recommendations for like TV shows or something like that, you can feel free to put them down. I've been trying to find more to watch. I tried watching Monk and I turned it off after about 10 minutes. I really didn't like Monk. But if anybody has any recommendations for like a genuinely good show or something like that, I'd really love that too. Same thing with movies. Same thing. In general, I just like getting more knowledge about media and stuff like that. Since media really is the best way that we can express ourselves, I think there's little intricacies in that aren't present in other avenues. Now, does this count as a movie? Are you watching a movie right now? Are you watching a TV show right now? I don't know, probably not. I'm just some guy on a screen right now. Unless for some reason this is playing in a movie theater or like at a football stadium or something. That'd be really weird. That would be a really weird image to walk into a theater and say, "Hey guys, how's it going? The Gamer 7 here." But I want to see more of the world than what I've seen so far. And if I've reached my limits in one avenue of doing that, then I want to expand outward and experience even more than that. And what does this have to do with letting go? It's letting go. Letting go is easier than you think it is. Or something like that. I don't remember what I said. Just look down there. That's what it's called. Or like over there. I don't know what format you're watching this in. Turn to him. The person you're watching with. Maybe he knows what it's called. Maybe he checked. I don't know. But why title it something like that? What does this have to do with letting go? Because games are really important to me. And it's hard to feel like I can move on from that. To say, I think I'm kind of done playing video games. Not like I'm never going to, obviously. Like, after I'm done with this, after I'm done with all this, like, work I have to get done today, I'm probably just gonna go play games the rest of the night. I don't mean never playing it ever again. I just mean getting excited for it, like buying everything the day it comes out, getting like collector's edition, getting all the downloadable content and stuff like that, going on forums to like learn stuff and like talking with people on Discord about new strategies and stuff like that. I think I've gotten everything I can out of doing that. And games themselves don't really enable that as much anymore. It's just about like daily quests and getting cosmetic skins and stuff like that. But that's a whole other video. I'm not getting into that. So, letting go of that, realizing maybe I can focus on something else for a while instead is kind of scary when this is the only thing that I've ever known, you know? And I think that that's not exclusive just to that feeling I had, where it was, I want to go read a book instead of playing World of Warcraft, instead of playing a game. I want to turn my computer off when I want to go sit down with a book and a cup of coffee and just breathe it in, you know? Get the real microfiber taste filled in your lungs, you know? I feel like that's reflective of everything in my life and everything that I've been up to this point. Where, I mean, you look at the list that you scroll through every day, your friends list. How many of those people do you actually talk to? You, not me. Me too, though, because you might be watching this and you might be me, or you might just be yourself, and that's fine too. We don't judge or anything like that. But scrolling through this list of people and thinking, how many of them are actually my friends? And just doing old habits without even thinking about it. I mean, last night was really hard for me. I tried to go to bed at a reasonable time, you know, like 11 or midnight or something like that. And I just couldn't sleep. I was just lying awake in bed staring at the ceiling the whole time. And I just took my phone out and I just started scrolling. You know? I never did that before I had a phone, so what changed? Why do I have this, like, insatiable urge to just take out my phone and scroll through threads and threads and threads and threads and threads of people just screaming at each other with profanity, and slurs, and just arguing about things that don't matter? And now it's just all AI generated trash. Most of these conversations aren't even real anymore. You can't meet anybody through doing this, and if there's anything you're trying to actively get out of looking at that, you can find it so much more conveniently and effortlessly anywhere else on the internet. Anywhere else. Scrolling TikTok and scrolling Twitter and whatever faculties that you engage with. You, not me, but me too. That doesn't give you any benefit. You don't get anything out of that. I mean, to tie it back into the games thing, that's just what games are too. Go ahead. Go do your dailies. Go do your polls. Go do your roles. Pretty soon you're going to be like, I don't know, this is going to be like a mandate of like, did you spend your $5 today to keep your phone turned on to find your wife on your phone or something? I'm just saying words at this point. It's okay. But I did that for 4 hours. I didn't fall asleep until like 4 a.m. I lied in bed on my phone scrolling for 4 hours without even realizing that. And then the second I finally put my phone down, I felt awful. I felt like I undid all of the hard work that I had accomplished up to this point. I felt like I was a failure and that I was just still stuck in this loop that I'd been in this whole time. That I just inadvertently got forced into at some point because I was trying to fit in instead of being who I actually am. But I woke up this morning and something different happened. For some reason, I actually woke up at a reasonable time. I woke up at about 9, and I wasn't exhausted. The bags under my eyes would tell you otherwise, but I wasn't exhausted. And I got out of bed, and I put my shoes on, and I went for a walk. And I walked over to that nice little area that I was at in that other video, and I was there for a few hours. And I was like drenched in sweat. It's like super hot. I came back and apparently there was a heat advisory put out, so I shouldn't have done that. That's besides the point. I felt great. And I showered and I weighed myself. I've lost 12 pounds since I lost my job. Quit my job. 12 pounds in 3 weeks. Now, that's all like water weight or whatever. The hard part about losing weight is that you lose like a bunch at the start just because your body's like cycling stuff out, and it's just like a pound or two per week for a while after that. But in just 3 weeks of eating better, trying to sleep better, doing what I can to not engage in those same negative habits, trying not to engage with those negative people, that's 12 pounds. 12 pounds is significant. So if I keep that up, imagine like maybe I'll finally be at that place where I want to be. Maybe I'll be at the shape that I want to be in a year or two. Just by trying to be positive for 3 weeks, not even necessarily succeeding at it every single day. And last week, it reminds me of that. Last week, I woke up and I wanted McDonald's. I was like craving McDonald's. It's like those fries, I don't know what they put in the salt, but you just like want to eat like a bucket of it. And the chicken nuggets. Man, if the McChicken wasn't like $5 now or something like that, I would like walk over after making this video and order like 20 of them. Oh man, man, it's delicious. But we walked over to the grocery store, my roommate and I bought 2 pizzas because there was a sale for it, and I ate them both in one sitting. I was hungry. I had this insatiable craving for junk food. I've never had something like that in my life before. And my roommate was like, well, what have you been eating for the past week? And I was like, I guess just chicken and rice and like carrots and onions and, I don't know, Cheerios or something. And like for a week or two, that's all I've been eating. And then I have this like insatiable, like I need to eat junk food or something like that. And I do. You know, it's like really easy to like want to beat yourself up again, but something different happened this time. I didn't feel terrible like I normally do, like both mentally and physically. And, you know, I weighed myself a few days later and now it's like I've lost 12 pounds. It's because those positive life changes that I'm trying to engage with every single day are starting to finally show results. This soon, too. I mean, the fact that I managed to wake up at a decent time today just shows that maybe I'm starting to actually have that good sleep schedule, and maybe tonight, when it gets to be around the time I'd like to be sleeping at, I will be tired enough to actually sleep there, because I did something today that was productive. And my body's getting used to the food that it's eating to where I have so much more energy now, and I don't need as much as I did before to feel satiated. And yeah, I had that one horrible craving that one day, but then I just indulged in it for a second, and then my body was like, cool, thanks, and just went back to still feeling like it was full of energy and things like that. I'm not a nutritionist or anything like that. I think the closest thing I know about anything of what I'm talking about right now is REM cycles, and I haven't studied that in like 6 years. But it's because I let go of the things that were holding me back. I quit that job. I stopped hanging out with those people that were making me feel the way that I did. I started going for walks, I started writing more, and I've been making these videos too. And every now and then, I'll open Discord, and I'll be like, I should message someone. I haven't talked to so-and-so in a while, let's see how they're doing. And I did this. I tried to message someone, being like, hey, it's been a while, let's hang out. And they blocked me. Immediately. And then, like, I scrolled through our message history for a little bit, like, well, what happened? I didn't know we were on bad terms. And it was just mostly really passive-aggressive stuff on his end, and me initiating all of the conversations. And it's like, I don't want somebody like that in my life. And then you try somebody else, and it's like, well, when was the last time that you spoke to this person, and what was it about? And so I checked a couple of others, and it was like, well, that was kind of a uncomfortable conversation then too, and I like, did I do something wrong? And you read through it, and it's like, well, I don't think I did something wrong. If I did, I know I'd apologize for it. It's like, well, no, this is just kind of a. You keep scrolling, and it's like, this is just kind of unhealthy. There isn't really a back and forth going on here. And I mentioned before how toxic people aren't picky. And I realize better now that I'm a very clingy person. And it's like I cling to people because I want them to help me when I can't be that type of person. I need to be able to take care of things that I have to do by myself. That doesn't mean that the people who love me aren't going to be there to support me when I need it, but that's the distinction. There's a difference between needing the help of the people who love you when you need help versus being able to handle it on your own. Because there are things that we can handle on our own. Imagine if every time that I needed to wash the dishes, I had to go tell somebody else to do it. Like, it's so hard for me. Can you do it for me? Imagine if I needed to go and get the mail and I had to like call up like, hey man, it's kind of dangerous around here. I just don't really feel comfortable getting the mail. Could you go get the mail for me? And in the process of doing that, I'm going to the wrong person to take care of what I can do myself. And I go to the wrong person before I trust myself to be able to take care of that. Because I can handle it. I can take care of that. And part of letting all of that go is realizing that maybe this person that I was clinging to isn't a person that I mean that much to. Maybe this like friendship I thought that was built up isn't mutual. Maybe some people just don't like me. And it doesn't matter, because there are people who do like me. People who, like I could talk about all the people in my life right now that like me, that are great, And human beings just tend to focus on the negative things and nothing else. They just parrot their insecurities around to others because it's what we've been encouraged to do. It's what we've been enabled to do. And it's really difficult for me to break out of that and to break out of habits like that, of like just scrolling on my phone for 4 hours in the middle of the night without realizing it, or opening up a new tab of something that I shouldn't be looking at, and trying to talk to people who don't really want to talk to me, and they're just being polite by not telling me that. And if I get that impression, I should probably just trust it. And a lot of my life has been defined by the way that I feel other people mistreat me. I mean, a perfect example, I mentioned that English teacher before. This teacher hated me for no reason. I genuinely don't know what it was. And the only evidence, the very concrete evidence I have of that is on my final for high school, like the last project I needed to submit before I was allowed to graduate. I got my grade back, and I was docked about, it was like 7 or 8%. It was enough to leave me at 1% higher than lowering my letter grade. So ultimately doing nothing. right? Like I still had like an A in the class or something like that. It didn't influence my GPA or anything like that, but it was on the precipice of doing so. Like it was like right there, enough for me to like stop for a second and go like, whoa, what happened? What did I do wrong? I'm not making this up. I swear on whatever I need to come across as genuine for this. It said, you're too confident. I got docked almost a whole letter grade because I was too confident. What kind of teacher does that to someone? What type of positive reinforcement is that? Is that how you build people up? How much of a loser do you have to be to break somebody else down like that, to make yourself feel better? What is there to prove from doing that? I could do a whole thing on how much I hate teachers who are like that. Because for every one of them out there who would be willing to die for their students, there's like 5 of them who are obnoxious, self-centered losers who are only doing it for the sake of making themselves feel better and because they couldn't find anything else to do with their time. That's a really random tangent to go on in the middle of a video about letting things go, but this is a practice. A practice. I get really mad about that. That really riles me up. I think it's a really horrible thing. I'm not even mad about the fact that I was mistreated. I'm mad about the fact that somebody like that is allowed to stand in the front of a room where they're supposed to help people. That makes me really angry. But that was like 7 years ago. And I mean, even things that happened last week, it's all in the past now. That suffering doesn't have to last forever. It only stays as long as we allow it to. But it is temporary. If we keep going. It might last a day, a week, a month, a year, or even longer than that. But if we give up and we allow that to consume us, then it will last forever. And ultimately, that suffering consumes us. And, leads us to develop really unhealthy habits, like scrolling on our phone in the middle of the night, or getting really mad about something that a person who doesn't care about you said to you 7 years ago. We're just human. It makes sense that we get upset when people are mean to us. It's not that complicated. But I don't need to deal with that anymore. I can keep eating healthy food and going for walks and making these videos and talking to all of you. And I can focus on the things that make me a better person rather than letting the people who see that and want to break it down consume me. Because I want to be a better person. Always. I don't have any limits, and nobody has any limits. You can go as far as you want to go. If there's some, I don't know, like middle schooler or high schooler or something watching this right now, because I notice some of you are apparently around that age. I don't know how you ended up here or anything, but you can do whatever you want to do. And if there's somebody in your life who is preventing you from feeling that way, get rid of them. You can cut them out. I have plenty of family I don't talk to anymore. For good reasons. Good reasons. That was really subtle, wasn't it? I like the subtlety on that. But don't ever let anybody tell you that you're not good enough. Don't let anybody ever try to talk you out of doing what you want to do. Just don't do anything illegal. Don't hurt people. Don't, sell stuff on a street corner unless it's like hot dogs or something. If you want to do that, just be like those dudes who hang out outside of the Capitol and always sell super political shirts. They just like overcharge it. Like, go check that out. That's cool. It's like they sell like government shirts for like $200 or something, and they're like, yeah, this puts me through college. Go do something like that. Be proactive like those guys. Those guys are cool. Shouts out to those guys. They're not gonna watch this, but shouts out to them. And the only thing that was holding me back from realizing this, from scrolling through that list of names, scrolling through those threads, scrolling through Twitter, scrolling through TikTok, Discord, other social media platform that exists now that is a stand-in for all the other ones that I'm saying because this is dating this right now, was myself. It doesn't matter how much I cling to other people for them to handle it for me. And it doesn't matter how much the people who care about me tell me that I can do it. It helps, certainly. But ultimately, that's up to me. And getting to that point means letting go of the things that used to define you as a person. You need to be willing to sacrifice everything that you are right now in order for what you will become. And with the passing of time, I don't even remember most of the stuff that makes me feel so insecure or mad. Sure, I remember specifics, but does my high school English teacher from 7 years ago have any impact on my life right now? Have I seen them? If I did, I'd probably say really rude things to them, or I'd just awkwardly look at them and then walk away. But these problems become more remote. They just turn into vague sensations that don't actually have any association. Why am I sad? I don't even know anymore. And so why bother being sad if there's no reason for it? There's no reason to be depressed right now. And I want to reserve the feeling of being sad for the things that matter to me. I mean, a friend of mine passed away a couple of years ago, and I didn't really feel bad about it at the time because I was just so used to feeling bad. And it's only within the past year or so when the reality of that is actually hitting me. And it feels good to be sad about things that matter. It feels good to allow ourselves to feel the emotions that we feel and not censor that for the sake of appeasing other people or being scared of being judged by people who aren't even in our lives anymore. It doesn't matter what happened to me. It doesn't matter what happened to you. It doesn't define you as a person. You can just let it go. And I mean, I get it. I got bullied a lot for being overweight. So what did I do every time I ran? I thought about how upset that made me. But at some point, it stops being about those other people and proving them wrong and just turns into doing it for the sake of doing it and proving myself wrong, of breaking my own limits and getting to a point to where you're beyond the person that you were before. Getting to a point to where those insults don't even mean anything to you anymore because you're just on that different level. And for me, I can't keep clinging to other people. I have to let that go. I can't keep waiting around for the people who don't like me to tell me that I'm doing okay. It's a problem that comes from within myself, that I myself must deal with. And I can handle it. I can believe in myself. Because I believe in the me who believes in myself. And I believe in you too. And so even if whoever's watching this right now, if you're having a bad day or something like that, I'm not saying that you should just like roar. I'm not saying you should just stand up and scream out your window, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. But for what it's worth, just know that I believe in you. And if you have a hard time believing in yourself, then you can believe in the me who believes in you. And then eventually, maybe you'll start to understand the positive qualities in yourself too. If you can look to the people who love you and care about you and want the best out of you, and you can understand why they think you're such an amazing person, which you are, then you can gradually start to love yourself too, and you can start to see your own worth. And then it all loops back in, because then not only do you make yourself happy, but then the people who love you get happy too, because then you get better. And I don't think anybody wants to be sad. I don't think anybody's born into this world feeling so disillusioned about everything. And in the same way, that we're not born into this world scrolling at 4 a.m. And if we can just find a way to return to that innocence, of that curiosity that we have about the world, and just trying things for the sake of trying them, and just focusing on the positives and not the negatives, and still learning from the negatives too, you can't shut out the world. I walk through that door and I get scared. That's a scary place out there. I'm scared in here. What's going on out there? That's scary. I don't want to go out there, but I have to. I have to live my life. It's just about getting strong enough to be able to deal with that. And we can all do that. We're alive. You're fine. You're alive. It doesn't matter how bad your situation is right now. The fact that you're alive right now means that something better can happen. And miracles only happen to people who don't give up. And I'm not going to give up, so neither should you. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. That's the feeling that I had. And I wanted to share that because that's special. That's a really special feeling. I don't want to ever let that go. Now, as I said before, I wouldn't be against doing like a podcast or something like that, or like converting this into a way to where it's more listenable as opposed to visual. Because most of this, I'm just gesturing with my hands here. I don't know sign language or anything like that. I wouldn't be against that. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know. And if you just have any thoughts or anything you'd like to talk about, feel free to leave a comment. Ideally, I like being able to talk with all of you. I really do. And if I could find some way to keep this going for the foreseeable future, I think that would make me really happy. Because I appreciate the support, and I appreciate the venue to be able to talk like this. It's nice to feel like I can act like myself and be the person that I'm meant to be for once. I don't have to put on a face or anything like that. So thank you. And you too. That'll be it from me. So I will see you guys in the next one then. Thank you.